Hello, my name's Jupiter Hadley, and today we're playing the game Storm Boy, or Colin Thiel's Storm Boy the game. This is based on a book, like a fairy tale type book that was released in like 1964, I believe. This game is $5.99 in the Xbox Live Store. This video is always brought to you by the lovely people on Patreon who support me each and every month so I can continue to record all of these indie games and game jams. If you want to check me out on various social media, or if you'd like to check out this game, or if you'd like to support me on Patreon, check the description. Cool. Yeah, that's me. Sorry, I didn't realize I'd have to sign in again. This looks beautiful. Stormboy lived in a hideaway with Hideaway Tom, his father. Alright. Years before, when Stormboy's mother had died, he had left Adeline and gone to live like a hermit by the sea. The only other man who lived anywhere near them was Fingerbone Bill, the aboriginal. At first, Hideaway was afraid that Stormboy would get lost, and so Hideaway looked for a landmark. One day, he found a big piece of timber lying with the driftwood on the beach. Well, that's cool. There, said Hideaway, now you'll always have a lookout post. You'll be able to see it far up the beach, and you won't get lost. Some distance from the place where Hideaway and Fingerbone had built their humpies, the whole stretch of the Corrigan and the island around it had been turned into a sanctuary. In the early morning, the tall birds stood up and clapped and cheered the rising sun. It's a lot of birds here. Stormboy felt the excitement and wonder of it. He often sat on the shore all day with his knees up and his chin cupped in his hands. Sometimes he wished he had been born an ibis or a pelican. Ooh, daydreams like this can last as long as you'd like. What a beautiful, like, relaxing little game. I was hoping I could dip into the water. No, I want to keep going that way. I think that's the end. Okay. It's guiding through. This is beautiful. Let's go back though. Stormboy felt the okay, so I've read that, sorry. His father's voice roused him and he ran down the beach to help dig up a bag full of cockles for their own tea. 100 cockles is the limit per person. Find as many as you can. How? How do I find them though? No? Okay, so we just need to dig more. Okay. So I guess I could just do this until I get 100, or I can just do this until I don't want to do this anymore. I quite like the idea of games becoming like inspired by storybooks and a way to tell the stories that are in storybooks. I think as games are a thing that children are playing and are interested in, having them based around stories is logical and makes a lot of sense. Dig. It's hard to tell if it's right in the center of the screen, but it's quite a cool little game. So I don't think we need to get 100, because 100 is probably the limit, and it's probably just warning me that if I get to 100, I'll be done. Because you wouldn't want to take all of them. All of these holes. Achievement digger. And 20. Okay, so there's achievements around how many you actually decide to take the time to get. That's kind of cool. And it kind of makes me want to stay and just continue. It's quite relaxing, this. Let's finish grabbing that. I've never actually eaten cockles. Not a fan of fish in general. Even shellfish. Wonder how many my dad's gotten this time. We'll grab one more. And also this one. Cool, that's plenty. It's plenty for tea. I think, anyway. When Stormboy went walking along the beach, or over the sandhills, or in the sanctuary, the birds were not afraid. They knew he was a friend. "Hello, Miss Penguin," said Stormboy each day. "How are your bits of thistledown today?" Aww. But sometimes Stormboy saw things that made him sad. In spite of the warnings and notices, people hurt the birds. One morning, Stormboy found everything in uproar and confusion. He heard a faint rustling and crying, and there, under the sticks and grass of the broken nests, were 3 tiny pelicans, still alive. Oh, look at them. Stormboy picked them up carefully and hurried back with them. 2 of the baby pelicans were fairly strong, but the 3rd was desperately sick. It was 3 days before the baby pelican was well enough to sit up and ask for food. And that was how Mr. Proud and Mr. Ponder and Mr. Persevian came to live with Stormboy. Greedy pelicans will just keep eating fish. Oh. Oh, so we have to, like, aim. Oh, I get that back one. Nope. Ah, I'm not good at getting it to that back one. Let's ask for help. Throw the fish prod. Okay, aim fish. I like how all of these mini games, you can just play them for as long as you want. Because it's a telling of a story. There you go. That back one's just gonna starve. Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's getting more frustrated. Yeah, I can't get him to him. Oh, you got one. That's so good. I mean, it was very hard to feed that back one. There you go. Oh. Open up your mouth. Just take it. Let's continue. At last, Hideaway spoke sternly to Stormboy. Mr. Proud, Mr. Ponder, and Mr. Persevian will have to go back to the sanctuary where they're from. We just can't afford to feed them anymore. Well, I was throwing a lot of fish on the ground, to be fair. Oh, sad. I figured there was going to be more. Time for respectable pelicans to get their own breakfast, Hideaway grumbled, instead of begging from their friends. And, as time went on, he really meant what he said. Oh, they're my friends. Stormboy was sad, but he always knew when his father had made up his mind. Yes, Dad, he said. Hideaway sailed for 5 miles up the sanctuary before he stopped the boat. Off you go, he said. Now you'll have to look after yourselves. Hideaway and Stormboy spent the day fishing. It was fine and sunny, but somehow seemed cold. Because you're sad. Mr. Percivian. It's Mr. Percivian. Mr. Percivian has come back home. Of course he has. They won't leave you. Ever since the miracle of Mr. Percivian's rescue, he had been Stormboy's favorite. Look at these ducks. Stormboy often had fun on the beach with Mr. Percivian. Right. Try swimming different places and seeing what it's like underwater. Okay. How do I swim? No one's told me how to swim. A to dive. Okay. Oh, wow. Look at this. Wow. There was a lot of love and attention put into this game. This is so nice. Let's sail a bit. There's other boats in the distance. I like the animation on our bird friend as well. We'll dive down. Oh, I didn't mean to click that, sorry. So there's more starfish here, more seaweed. It's a very good swimmer. Oh wow, another game. This is gonna be a bunch of games that we play with our bird friend. This is just drawing. Oh, I've messed up. I'm gonna wash it away. Alright. So, I'm not very good at drawing. But I mean, I'm sure this boy wouldn't be either. Can't really draw a dot. I don't have enough room. I drew it too big. It's me and my bird friend. It's very cute. Whenever he threw the ball, or a smooth pebble, or a sea urchin, or an old fishing reel, Mr. Percivian snapped it up and brought it back. We play fetch with our bird. This is wonderful. What went in the water? Ah, they still found it though. Look at this. This is really cute. Just all of these little like mini games. I quite like how relaxing this is. It's very much like a story should be interpreted. There's no goal, there's no however many ball throws. It's just... Oh wow, you're just gonna fly out to it. Let's just hang out and explore and enjoy this little adventure with your bird friend. That one's really far. Whoa. So cool. Let's keep going. If Stormboy went swimming or sliding down sandhills or playing in the sand, Mr. Persevian found a good spot nearby and perched there heavily to watch and wait until it was over. Oh, we're gonna go sliding down in cardboard. That's genius. Slip for as long as you like. Mr. Pelican, we'll see you on the beach. Huh. I wonder how my dad felt about this bird just that he told to go away. Just staying with us. But I mean, it must be really lonely on this island for little kids. Surely having something like a bird is good. I don't know. Yeah. Let's change direction to A to speed up. So we can go a bit faster. Just making sure there wasn't controls that I was missing out, but I didn't think there was. One day, as Hideaway was watching them play, he had an idea. If he can bring things back to you, perhaps he can carry things away too. It was the year of the great storms. They began in May, even before the winter had started. That doesn't seem good. The darkness of early morning, Stormboy suddenly woke with Hideaway's voice in his ears. "It's a wreck," Hideaway said, "a shipwreck on the shore." "Look at them," Stormboy yelled. "We must help them. They'll be drowned." "How can we help?" said his father. "We can't throw a line. It's too far." Stormboy gave a great shout. Mr. Persevian is the one to do it. He can fly." This is getting intense. So fly over to the boat. Ah, good boy, Steven. We'll have another try. Well, let's read the controls. Oh, just move. So I'm trying not to let him get too far off the screen. He's kind of being pushed with the wind. Come on, you're nearly there. Ah, no, it's so close. It's a balance. It's a balancing act. "You've done it, you've done it!" Stormboy, Hideaway, and Fingerbone shouted together as Mr. Persevian landed on the beach. "You're a good, brave, clever pelican." And we were gonna get rid of them. Between them, they all slowly hauled the captain ashore and dragged him, pale and half drowned, onto the beach. "Saved," he kept saying weakly. "Saved by a miracle and a pelican." "You're a big, wonderful bird," he said. He looked up at Hideaway. "When he dies, you must send him to the museum. We'll put a label on the case, the pelican that saved 6 men's lives." Hideaway looked around quickly. He was glad Stormboy hadn't heard the captain's words. "Yeah, it's fair. Don't talk about the death of this pelican. He saved you." For the rest of the year, everyone was happy. The storms went back to the cold south, the sun warmed the sandhills, and the spring ran over the countryside with new leaves and little bush buds. Before long, the open season for duck shooting came around. From the start, Mr. Persevian hated the shooters. He hurried them away whenever he could. Sometimes he just sat staring at them rudely until they grew impatient and chased him away. But most of all, he flew around and around their hiding places in wide circles, like a cumbersome old aeroplane on patrol. Before long, the ducks understood Mr. Persevian's warning and kept him away. The shooters grew angrier and angrier. And so it went until one terrible morning in February. He shoots the pelican. Don't shoot it, don't shoot it. It's Mr. His voice was drowned by the roaring of the gun. In the world, Hideaway said sadly, there will always be men who are cruel, just as there will always be men who are lazy or stupid or wise or kind. Today you've seen what cruel and stupid men can do. And at 9 o'clock, Mr. Pacifian died. I don't think I expected the game to get so sad. Mr. Pacifian, Stormboy whispered, you're the best friend I ever had. And always, above them, in their mind's eyes, they could see the shape of two big wings in the storm clouds, and the flying sculled 2 wings of white with trailing black edges spread across the sky. For birds like Mr. Pacifian do not really die. This is a beautiful little game. If you'd like to purchase this yourself, it's pretty cheap, and there'll be a link in the description. I didn't realize it was going to get so sad so fast. But yeah, thank you very much for watching and liking, commenting, and subscribing. Bye.